Hey, what's up everybody? In this video tutorial, we're going to be taking a look at how to create the construction block set of working drawings. All right, so early on in the project, we got this PDF. It's a set of working drawings, and there's a sheet that is associated with every type of component we need to create. Taking a look here, we have 9 different sheets. Okay, each sheet has its own multi-view. It is fully dimensioned, and it also incorporates a parts list. Okay, the parts list has things like part number, material, and mass, right? And what we're going to be doing is recreating this using the components that we've already created in Fusion. So what that requires from us is to come out here and to open up our construction block lineup assembly. Okay, once that opens up, what we first need to do is we need to come out, okay, and actually put that into a drawing. So coming from our design tab here, we're going to now go to drawing from design. I'm going to be using my LTHS IED title block. That's the only thing we can use for this class. So make sure you're using that IED title block, and we're going to go ahead and say okay. Okay, once that comes in, all right, we can see it's in this orientation. That's a front orientation. And now I'm going to come out here and go to scale, and I'm going to scale this up to 1:1. All right, at the same time, I'm also going to be coming out here to style, okay, switching on to hidden. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and place it and say okay. Now I know this is going to look a little bit silly because everything is way too big. Well, you got to remember in this case, all we're wanting to do is to actually just show the multi-views, okay, for our blue arc block. So what we're going to do is in Fusion is we're going to find our blue arc block over here. We can see this is the list of components that makes up this assembly. We're going to find our blue arc block. We're going to right click and we're going to go ahead and pick on suppress all except selected. Now that's going to shut down everything except for our blue arc block. Now when this view comes in, if this view is not correct, we can always double click it. Okay, and now we can come out here and we can switch up our orientation, and we can go out there and find, okay, the exact view that we need. So in my case, it would be this. So I can go ahead and close. Now is the time when I can drag this into place from my front view. And now this is when I can come out and go to create our projected views. So I'm going to create my top, my right, as well as my isometric. My isometric is always going to be what the human eye sees. We're going to come up here and pick on shaded, and now I can go ahead and close. All right, so this is the time when I could come up here and go to center mark. I could pick the arc to create the center mark, come up here to my bisector center line, pick on one object line, then pick the other. It's going to create that for us. Okay, so when that is done, now we can come up here, go to table. We can anchor that at the top right. Okay, and now there's obviously going to have to be some modifications to our parts list. So I can come here to my parts list. I'm just going to come to the geometry like a line and double click. And now I can come in here and turn down things like item and quantity. I can also shut off description, but I want to add mass. And now I'm going to go ahead and close it out. So every time we create a parts list, it's going to give us a balloon for free. All right, I'm actually going to come to this balloon and I'm going to go ahead and just simply delete it. Okay, so what we're going to now do is we're going to come in here and actually add our dimensions. So as you're doing this, just keep referencing back to the set of working drawings. The only 2 dimensions that we needed were this radial dimension here and then this actual extrusion depth distance here. So I'm going to come back here into Fusion, come up here to dimension. I'm going to pick on my arc. I'm going to pull this out. And now I'm going to go ahead and just pick this dimension and pull this up. Okay. Now, when taking a look at this, we can see that there's been one huge mistake already is when taking a look at my dimensions, this is coming in default at 2 decimal place accuracy. Okay, jumping over here into our drawings, we can see that these are actually going to be 5 decimal place accuracy. All right, so we need to make sure that my dimensions are reflecting that 5 decimal place accuracy. And the way we do that is by coming up here, hitting the flyout next to document settings, come here to my dimension units, and then hitting the little pencil edit button. And now we can come over to linear precision and say, I want these to be 5 decimal place accuracy. And now I can go ahead and say, okay. And now we can see that those dimensions have been corrected and they're showing exactly what they need to show. All right. So now this is when I'm going to probably start focusing on what's happening here in the parts list. So it says my material is made of steel and my mass is 4.894 ounces. Okay, looking at the reference here that was provided to us, okay, I can see that my white oak material was actually what was supposed to be used and my mass is about 0.45 ounces. Okay, so obviously I have some mistakes within this part. Okay, so what we do in order to correct the mistake is, all right, is I know I need to come in here and add the correct type of material, okay, to my arc block. So using my data pane, I'm going to go ahead and open that up. I'm going to come up here and find my blue arc block. Once my blue arc block is open, this is when I need to come up here, go to physical material. Coming into my physical material, I'd come down to my wood folder and finally find my white oak. I can drag and drop and then close. Obviously, my appearance is now gone, so I need to come up here, right click, go into appearance. And if you've done this right, you should be able to find your appearances here in favorites. Here's my white oak blue paint that I used earlier in the project. I can go ahead and drag it and drop it, and then finally close on the dialog box. Okay, so my part has now been corrected. I'm going to go ahead and hit save, and I'm going to say okay. Now, once you save that in the actual part or save the part, you have to come over to the assembly in which that part is used. It's telling us that this needs an update, so I'm going to go ahead and pick update. Okay, that's updated, so therefore I need to save it and say okay. Once that's done, I'm going to come out here to Untitled, my Untitled drawing. Okay, that's when I need to come up here and update this. And then just that quick here in the parts list, I can see this has the correct material, and this is indicating that my mass is 0.45 ounces. Once again, going back over into my reference drawing, it's supposed to be 0.45 ounces. Therefore, this part is correct. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just do a save right now. I'm going to call this my construction block project set of working drawings. I'm going to hit OK. Okay, so my drawing is done for that particular part. Now I'm looking at it. Looks like my appearance didn't stick for some reason. We'll come back to that. Let's go ahead and let's create a new sheet. So I'm going to once again pick on Quick Add, okay, to create our new sheet. And this is when I'm going to come out and pick on Base View. We can see my entire assembly comes in. I'm going to be switching my scale to 1:1. Okay, and I'm also going to be saying that I want this to have hidden edges. So I'm going to go ahead and just drop this in for my front view and say okay. And taking a look at my reference drawing, the next thing I need to be working on is the green arch block. So coming out here to Fusion, I'll be coming over here and finding my green arch block. That's when I'm going to right click on it and suppress all except for selected. Once again, if this view is not correct, remember you can always double click it and change the orientation in order to get the view that you want. But in our case, this is correct. So I'm going to go ahead and just drag this, drop this into place. And now is when I can come up here to projected view to create my top, my ISO, and my right. Okay, so my ISO, I'm going to double click and make sure that is shaded. And now I can go ahead and start working on things like center marks, things like center lines, and I can get all that in where I need it. Okay, now's the time where I can come up here to tables. I'm gonna go ahead and just drag and drop this in, make sure that is anchored up here in the corner. Okay, so that's done. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and just expand this out a little bit so we have just one line of text. We don't need the balloon. I'm gonna go ahead and delete it. All right, and now is when I'm gonna be checking my reference drawing and seeing what dimensions I need in order to create this part. All right, so I'm going to come up here, go to dimension. I know I'm going to need my radial dimension. I'm gonna go ahead and drop that in. I need to know what the distance is from here to here. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop that in. I also need to know what the distance is from there to there. I need to know what my height is, and then I also need to know what my depth is. So all those dimensions are in there. Okay, once that is done, all right, I can see that my material is right this time, so that's white oak. But let's just take a look at the mass. My mass is indicating that this is 0.623 ounces. Jumping over here, going into my reference drawing, it should be 0.77. So that means I have made a mistake somewhere. It's either going to be in the sketch or the extrusion. So just taking a look here, all right, this is indicating my radius should be 0.78125. Jumping over into Fusion, I can see that my radius is totally wrong. So that means I need to go ahead and correct the green arch block. So before I get out of this drawing, I'm going to go ahead and just save this. I'm going to come over here, open up my data panel. And now I'm going to come down to my green arch block. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and open that up. So we realized that the radius was wrong. So that means I'm going to have to come down here into my timeline and edit the sketch, and I can see that clearly I did not put in the right information. So that was supposed to be 0.78125. I hit enter. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and finish up with the sketch. And now I have to go ahead and save the part. And since that part was used in the actual assembly, I need to open up the assembly and I need to update it. Once that is updated, I'm going to go ahead and save and say OK. And now I'm going to go out into my actual drawing. It's going to be indicating that that also needs to update, so I'm going to update it. Okay, and we can see that my mass is now correct. It's supposed to be 0.77 ounces. Okay, jumping over here to my reference drawing. Okay, it is also 0.77 ounces. So we can see that this part is correct. Okay, so we're going to continue doing the same thing. Okay, adding new sheets using this quick add. Okay, but at the bottom here, all right, once you are done, you should be seeing 9 different sheets. Okay, that creates my entire set of working drawings. Okay, just remember that each sheet should have a multi-view. It should be fully dimensioned, the parts list, and all this information needs to be correct up here. Okay, in order for you to get credit for this assignment. So once you have all 9 sheets that are done across the bottom, we need to export this out as a PDF. In order to do that, we're going to come up here, pick on Export PDF. We can see that all sheets are going to be created, okay, as a PDF. Okay, so what we're going to do is say OK. And I'm going to go ahead and just leave it exactly how it's named, which is Construction Block Projects that are working drawings. I'm also going to be making sure this is saving to my computer and making sure that this is in our downloads. If it's not in downloads, you're going to have to hit the ... over here. Make sure you're talking to the downloads, and finally we can go ahead and save this. Okay, and it's going to export that PDF out as a multiple page PDF. Okay, if we come out here into downloads, okay, we're going to see that this is a multiple page PDF. Okay, and you're going to be turning in that multiple page PDF into Google Classroom under the assignment. Okay, when you go to turn it in. So there you go. That is how the construction block project set of working drawings assignment works. Okay, making sure that you're checking on all those numbers, making sure that you have the correct material, you have the correct dimensions, and so on. Okay, but that's the process that you are going to follow. So go ahead. Good luck.